Hot news: Supreme Court revives transgender ban for military service. The New York Times. Washington, U. The Supreme Court on Tuesday revived the Trump administration's policy of barring most transgender people from serving in the military. In a brief, the vote was 5-4. Justices Ruth, the policy, and at the time, Jim Mattis, generally prohibits people identifying with a gender different from their biological sex from military service. It makes exceptions. Challenges to the policy have had mixed success in the lower courts. Trial judges are. On January 4, the United States Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit vacated a third injunction, that one issued by Judge Colleen Collar-Catelli, a federal trial judge in Washington. The appeals court, the Supreme Court, granted stays of two other injunctions, issued by federal district court judges in California and Washington state, both in the Ninth Circuit. Solicitor General Noel J. Francisco, representing the administration, had argued that the stays were needed to address a troubling phenomenon. It is with great reluctance that we seek such emergency relief in this court. Unfortunately, such injunctions previously were rare, but in recent years they have become routine, he wrote. In less than 2 years, the administration had also asked the justices to immediately hear appeals, an unusual request when an appeals court has not yet ruled. The court turned down, say it will review a federal trial court's ruling before an appeals court has spoken, only upon a showing that the case is of such imperative public importance as to justify deviation from normal appellate practice and to require immediate determination in this court. In a separate brief, Mr. Francisco wrote, "This case satisfies that standard. It involves an issue of imperative public importance, the authority of the U.S. military to determine who may serve in the nation's armed forces." He told the justices that prompt action was required to ensure that the Supreme Court could rule before its term ends in June. The alternative, but lawyers for current and prospective members of the military challenging the policy said there was no need to upend the status quo while the case proceeded. Transgender people have been serving openly in all branches of the United States military since June 2016, including on active duty in combat zones. The government has presented no evidence that their doing so harms military readiness, effectiveness, or lethality, the brief said. The hundreds of people grandfathered in under the new policy, the brief added, cannot be squared with the government's claims of urgency to eliminate all other transgender personnel.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.